Welcome back to the Triple Coverage Podcast. My name is Mitchell Graham.
I'm Zach Brown.
I'm Cody Batten.
We got a good one. This is episode 8
sir.
of season 2 of the Triple Coverage Podcast. We're back with the three of us on here. I ran it solo last week, but we are back. I'm sure the boys are going to have a lot to say this week. So you heard a lot of me last week. So I'm going to delegate, let them speak. Zach, do you want to get us going with our first segment of the day?
Yeah, let's I guess start off the show by talking about more coaching carousel.
Yep.
Sam Pittman has now been added to that. It kind of was expected. Many people expected him to be the first SEC coach fired. I would imagine Mark Stoops is probably not far behind. They'll probably wait till the end of the season though with Mark Stoops. I don't imagine they'll probably fire him mid-season.
I would hope they would.
But yeah, I mean, just an absolutely embarrassing performance by Arkansas against Notre Dame. I mean, it was just it literally seemed I watched most of that game, and about midway second quarter, you could tell Arkansas just quit. They weren't even really trying anymore. And I guess that had to do with Notre Dame just being able to have their way. I mean, they scored on just about every time they had the ball. They were able to score.
It was pretty bad.
But we'll recap that game in a second. But I'm hearing some wild candidates so far for Arkansas. My bold preseason prediction was John Gruden, and I'm sticking by that. I still think John Gruden is interested in the job. But I got a text a few hours ago from our good buddy Hayden, who apparently has a buddy that is close to the Arkansas system. And apparently Dabo Swinney's camp reached out to Arkansas about the opening. So I don't know if there's any validity to that.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Apparently Dabo Swinney has reached out to Arkansas, and you know how those message boards are. There was a flight tracker that would track a flight from Clemson, South Carolina to Arkansas late last night. So I'm not saying there's anything, but I'm just saying there's smoke. And sometimes when there's smoke, there's fire.
That is a crazy one.
That would be a super crazy move for Arkansas. But here's the thing with the Arkansas job. They're going to have to give them more resources. As a matter of fact, the AD even came out right after Sam Pittman was fired and said, look, we appreciate him, but whoever takes this job is going to have more resources to be successful than what Sam Pittman had. So any maybe thoughts on who would be a good fit there at Arkansas? Any thoughts about just the Arkansas job in general?
I think that a guy like Buster Faulkner would be a pretty big get. It would be a pretty big first job for a guy like Buster. I know we've talked about him for some of the smaller jobs that have come open. I think all of them are actually Power 5 that have come open. But I think he would be a good hire. I think the Oklahoma offensive coordinator, his name right now is slipping my mind, would be a good get. Maybe Blake Baker, the DC for LSU, would be a guy you could look at for Arkansas. And then, I mean, you have the John Grudens of the world. You have the weird Nick Saban rumor that I heard for like 2 seconds, and then,
that's not happening.
Oh, I know. And then, I mean, look, Dabo Swinney would be a great get for Arkansas in the SEC. He can recruit. If he dipped into the portal with Arkansas, then they would be I think that team would be really good, and it would just add another good team in the SEC, which we'll watch that. He's got to get fired at Clemson first. So
yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to be fired. He could leave.
I mean, he could leave. Yes.
I mean, I mean, think about how heated he's been in these press conferences lately, saying, "Well, if they want me gone, then I'll go coach somewhere else."
Right.
Maybe he's saying that because that was kind of unprompted. Nobody asked him a question about him leaving. So I wonder if there's been internal pressure being like, okay, you got to step it up and we got to start winning these games. And that's why he's being reactionary right now. I mean, I don't know, but I think Rhett Lashley could be a good option at Arkansas. I think there's a lot of good places, in Arkansas. You're going to have somebody, whoever it is going to have resources, like I said, but is also going to need to get a good staff around him because you're not going to be able to out-recruit the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States of the world. So you're going to have to be able to coach up whoever you got. Cody, any thoughts on the Arkansas job?
Oh, I know who Cody thinks.
I mean, Buster would be a great grab. I was thinking about this whole Dabo thing though, because Dabo's salary, I think, is what, 11 million right now.
He is the highest
S-
paid coach, and Kirby is second, but he is the highest paid coach. Yes.
Sam was paid about 5, and then got about 6.45 in 2024. I don't know what he did to warrant that salary increase, but um, Arkansas is going to have to get a lot of resources just to hire a Dabo, because Dabo's not. I mean, unless he's just got a vendetta that he wants to prove something, he's not leaving the money. He's going to be fired so he can get his buyout. He's not going to leave voluntarily because he doesn't get the rest of his salary for the contract.
Yeah.
So they would then have to buy him, and that's the thing is I don't think their Arkansas's AD is correct. Sam Pittman didn't quite have the resources, but you're going to probably blow through your entire NIL just to get a coach like that. So I think the best thing for them to do is to find a buster. Go find somebody that's willing to take 3-4 million as the first time for their head coaching position, and then use the rest of the resources to have better NIL. Go get those, big player coordinators, surround him by good guys, and then have a successful season, kind of like Mississippi State is this year. I think that would be the right way to do it.
Would a Golish or a Summerall be a look for Arkansas as well?
I think Golish is in a position where he can hold out for the right job. And I don't know if Arkansas would be a place that I would be willing to leave USF for.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of a hot commodity right now, and I think a lot of teams are probably looking at Golish. It wouldn't be a bad place to go necessarily, but I'm being successful at South Florida. I can hold out for the perfect job, and he doesn't necessarily have to he doesn't necessarily have to jump at the first opportunity he gets.
Yeah, and I mean, then you could. I don't know. I think Oklahoma State we didn't get to talk about because it was last week. We didn't get to talk about the Oklahoma State job, but I think that job, from what I'm hearing, is basically Zach Robinson's to deny, the offensive coordinator for the Falcons. Basically, if he doesn't want it, or they're going to offer him, the only way he's not the head coach for them is if he says no, because they feel like he's their next guy. He was a quarterback under Gundy. He's a good offensive mind, and he's an NFL coordinator. So he's obviously going to be able to recruit right now. So I think that was just I didn't know if you guys had heard any more guys for Oklahoma State, but Zach
that's a
Robinson.
good job. Oklahoma State can be a really good program. I mean, that's a good job to take. I mean, but we're talking about Arkansas, but at the end of the day, Arkansas is probably just going to stick with Bobby P. They're probably just going to promote Bobby P and just leave him, especially if they win a couple of games down the stretch. They're probably just going to say, hey, welcome back, Bobby P. You're the new head coach again.
He's going to wear that neck brace again with the sunburn.
But I mean, the thing is Arkansas needs more resources, but they have the perfect booster to give them resources. They have Jerry Jones.
The Duggar family.
The Jerry Jones is an alumnus of Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
He could be their best booster. I mean, he could give them the resources that they need in order for them to be successful. It just how invested is Jerry Jones in his alumni? That's the question. You've got Virginia Tech. I don't think we talked about. Maybe we have talked about Virginia Tech potential openings there. There's a lot of very interesting jobs available right now.
Yeah, I think there's not like the marquee job out there, like the job that you have to take and like it's going to be the biggest job out there. I think out of the 4 right now, it probably is Arkansas, but I think a close second is Oklahoma State. And I think the worst job right now is UCLA to take.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So
whoever's coaching them right now is probably just going to be the head coach because I don't know if anybody's even going to interview for that job. So I had heard that the Oklahoma offensive coordinator was interviewing for that UCLA job, but if he really is as popular as you're saying he is, he could definitely get a way better job than UCLA.
He's also like 31, like the youngest coordinator in college football. So
yeah,
he's going to be there for a while.
UCLA is going to be a problem because they have to, like, anybody, they can interview anybody will come for an interview, but the interviewee is going to have some pretty big demands to be able to play in modern football. And that AD has not shown any form of care. I mean, the only cool thing is they get to play in the Rose Bowl. That's it. There's nothing at UCLA that's interesting.
Their own fans don't even care about the Rose Bowl because they don't come.
Yeah,
they don't show
and every one of the guys that have been fired, all these coaching jobs, there's an even higher issue. This is something that Georgia Tech had, and that we had to literally fire entire staffs and get new ADs and new everything just to put interest back into football. And I think that's starting to happen. I know that's happening in Virginia Tech. UCLA is 100% that. And Oklahoma State, they said, Mike Gundy is in a similar boat to Dabo. I think there's actually, Dabo way more successful, but there's this we can't do it the old way anymore.
Yeah.
We have a business now. We can't coach kids. We got to play like a business, and these schools have to make a decision whether or not they're willing to make that step.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, whether we want to admit it or not, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mitchell, but
no, you're good.
At the end of the day, whether we like it or not, football is going to be a school's biggest revenue stream now. So
unless you're Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, it's going to be basketball.
Yeah, so it's like, well, even then, those schools have started to invest more in football because even though they're basketball schools, they're going to make more money if their football team is successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So football is the biggest revenue stream, so you kind of have to take it seriously if you want your school to make any money. You have to.
That's fair. I think the last name that I'll throw out there, and if you guys think this guy is going to be a head coaching candidate, could Ryan Grubb get a job after the job that he's doing at Alabama?
I think he's had several opportunities. I think he's another guy that is going to wait for the right job to open up, because if I'm not mistaken, he was ready to take some job when
DeBoer got fired.
DeBoer was at
left.
When DeBoer was at Washington, Grubb had accepted a job, and then backed out when DeBoer left Washington because he thought he was going to get the Washington job, but then they ended up hiring Jed Fish. So I think he's in a position where he can hold out for the right job, and I've heard that he kind of wants to go back to the West Coast. So maybe he's holding out for a big West Coast job. Definitely wouldn't
UCLA.
Be UCLA. It would but I think he knows he wouldn't get the resources at UCLA. But
he is definitely a West Coast guy. He was Washington with DeBoer, and then he went to the Seattle Seahawks and was their OC last year. Now he's in T-Town, but I mean, so yeah.
Well, because him and DeBoer, I think, go way back. They've been on the same coaching staff for a long time. So
Alabama fans are just hoping he doesn't leave and become the Falcons OC, because I've seen a lot of that as well when Zach Robinson leaves. So
it could happen. I mean, Falcons have a reputation of hiring Alabama OCs. So
we do.
All right, let's get into some of the games from last week. We're not going to cover all of them that we picked.
We don't have to cover one of them.
No, we have to talk about it because I've got to get some things off my chest. This is gonna, when we get to that game, it's going to become a little bit of a Zach venting session because I don't pay for therapy, and this is therapeutic for me.
I've gotten it all out already. So good.
Let's talk about Notre Dame, Arkansas, since we kind of already mentioned that game. There's really not a whole lot to talk about because we kind of already touched on it a little bit. Notre Dame just had their way with Arkansas. They scored on, I think, just about every single time they had the ball. Jeremiah Love is definitely a top contender for the Heisman Trophy. He's probably the best back in the nation. CJ Carr, even though he's a true freshman, looks phenomenal. He looks great, and he's only going to get better. And it's just, and just one more thing, it's just really weird to see Notre Dame with a good offense and kind of a mid defense.
Yep.
It's always been the other way around as long as I can remember at Notre Dame, but they've got such a great offense now. And their defense is not terrible, but it's not elite like it was. So that's just interesting to see. Are there any comments from you guys on that game in particular?
Yeah, I think they quit. I mean, like you said, you mentioned it earlier. I think that Pittman knew if he had to win this game to keep his job, and the team probably knew that too. and they came out and they were competitive a little bit early. Like they were actually trading back and forth for like a minute there, and then Notre Dame went up and like, I think they scored on like back-to-back plays because Arkansas turned the ball over or something like that, and they were up all of a sudden like 35-10 or something like that, and it was over by that point. And I think they kind of just laid down and were just kind of accepting of what was happening. So I think it's unfortunate because I think Sam Pittman's a good ball coach, but it makes me happy because maybe we'll bring him back.
Please get rid of Stacy Searles and bring him back. Cody.
Once we get into that game, I don't think that position group was the problem. So
it was not. But go ahead, Cody.
I mean, Notre Dame's playing great. I like how their two hardest games are already over with, and they did lose both of them. But if you look at their schedule, they could go 10-2 now. So I can't. I don't. I mean, 10-2. Notre Dame. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but there's a big chance. So I guess. I mean, we still have to talk about them.
With those two teams that they lost to, they'll definitely in if they are 10-2.
I think so. I mean, they might lose to USC. I highly doubt it. I mean, they're playing really good football, so they're on the same war path that Alabama's on right now. Of we're not looking back.
I know none of us on this panel are Notre Dame fans, but I'm telling you, Marcus Freeman has grown on me these last two seasons. I love him as a head coach, man. He is that team's a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, they lost their two games at the beginning of the season, but they weren't blowouts, and they had chances to win both of those games. Mm-hmm. So it's a team. They were in the national. They lost the national championship game last year. That's a team that's to be reckoned with. That's a team that has a lot of resources to continue to be successful. He's recruiting way better than Brian Kelly ever did, which is huge. So
they're a top 5 hate watch for me every single week.
Next one, Ohio State, Washington. I actually did not watch like any of this game, but 24-6, Washington couldn't get anything going offensively.
That score was not indicative of the game. I think Washington played a much better game. They went for a fake field goal in the second quarter when they could have made it like 7-6. They didn't get it. Ohio State goes down, makes it 14-3. I think that Washington offense, that quarterback, Demond Williams, he's going to be really good. And I don't think that he was the issue. I think it was play calling. Jedd Fisch took some unnecessary risks. And they actually had the second longest FBS. The two longest FBS home streaks were snapped in the same day. Home winning streaks were snapped in the same day. Because Washington had like a 23-game win streak or something at home,
22,
which is pretty 22, and that got destroyed. But Washington's defense played well. I think that their offense played a lot better than the score indicated. I think that game was a closer. It was more like a 10-point game rather than 18-point game from what I watched. But Ohio State converted in the red zone. Washington did not. That's the difference in most games.
Yeah. Did you catch any of the game, Cody?
A little bit. And like you said about the score, if you look at scores per quarter, it's nothing first quarter for both teams. Touchdown Ohio State and then field goal Washington. So it's 7-3 going into the second half. That's another 7-3 after that, and then finally at the end, Ohio State scores 10 points, and Washington didn't do anything. So about the third quarter, you're at 14-6. So really, there was no place where Washington wasn't in the game until probably the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. So
yeah,
definitely a decent game for them. It just doesn't look like it, doesn't feel like it, but it's a tough one for Ohio State. But again, they kind of show that they're still number one. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't really have much to say about this game because I didn't really watch it. But again, I just think it's weird that now Notre Dame has a great offense and a mid defense, and now Ohio State has a mid offense and a great defense. It's just so it's like a parallel universe we're living in.
I think their offense is going to have to get better if they're going to win the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I've got something to kind of a short mini segment after we recap the games from last week that I want to talk about. The LSU Ole Miss game. I think me and you, Mitchell, I think we're the only ones that picked Ole Miss on the show. Ole Miss, I think a lot of people were wrong
Impressive.
about this team.
Yep.
That start the year. They look like probably, I would argue, maybe the best team in the SEC right now. If not the best, definitely top 3 best teams in the SEC right now.
Yeah.
They're playing great football. They found a gold mine in Trinidad Chambliss. I don't think Austin Simmons is going to see another down this year unless Trinidad gets hurt. Trinidad Chambliss, great story, 0-star recruit. Went to Ferris State, who is a dominant D2 program, won the D2 Heisman Trophy, and now is at Ole Miss. He's a great quarterback. He's captaining that offense very well. And they're just good on both sides of the ball. And LSU continue. Garrett Nussmeier is not playing well. Flat out is hurting his draft stock. He's playing horribly, to be quite honest. And I understand that some people are saying he's hurt. If that is the case, you need to get off the field because you are not helping your team. And another thing that's hurting LSU is they have not been able to run the football for 2 years now. They cannot run the ball, so it's putting way too much on Garrett Nussmeier. And Nussmeier looks shaken. It's either he's hurt or he's lost his confidence or maybe both. He doesn't look good right now. And LSU's in 2 weeks ago, we would say LSU is one of the best teams in the country. I think they're in real trouble right now because that defense is so good, but that offense needs a lot of work if it's going to compete for this.
If you would have given the 2 years ago Jaden Daniels LSU Tigers this defense, they would have ran through all of the country.
Yeah.
When their offense was untouchable, but they were losing games like 45-41 every single week.
Mm-hmm.
So I think honestly it's tough for LSU. But I think this was more good Ole Miss than bad LSU in this game. I think Ole Miss, like we talk about Trinidad Chambliss, it's not that he's just coming in here and he's winning them games. He's not turning the ball over. He is really, really smart with the football. He's making the right decisions. And I don't think we ever can really doubt a quarterback under Lane Kiffin because Lane Kiffin just produces quarterbacks and has good success with quarterbacks. And we're seeing Jackson Dart come in his first start in the NFL and win for the Giants and actually look really good. So I think Lane Kiffin's just a quarterback machine like Lincoln Riley is or was at Oklahoma. And so to me, this is an Ole Miss team that they still have to go to Athens and play at Georgia, but I think that could be I think that's going to be a number 5 versus number 10 matchup. I don't think Ole Miss will lose before that game, and it's going to be another team that's going to come into Athens and give us a scare. If we're playing in Oxford this year, I don't think we win. Like last year, we lost, obviously, in Oxford. That's a team that scares me. I don't think they're the best team in the SEC right now because we'll get into what the team that I think is the best in the SEC, hopefully, here soon.
Vanderbilt. I'm just kidding. Guys, look, LSU stopped Lane Kiffin offense to 24 points. So LSU's defense is astounding. And you're right. If they could get something on offense, we would be, singing Brian Kelly's praises. So, but, every single quarterback that has been talked about for Heisman preseason has sucked. Garrett Nussmeier being one of them. I think he was number 3 or 2. That for most rankings of potential Heisman.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let's get through some of these games quickly. Auburn, Texas A&M. Let's just mention maybe one sentence or two about. I think this is probably who Mitchell wants to talk about is Texas A&M. But this Auburn team, even though they've lost both of their last 2 games, they do look. I'm still scared to go to Jordan-Hare next week. That's a team that I think legitimately could still beat us. Honestly, I think that's still a good team. That's been in every game they've played. But hats off to Texas A&M. I mean, they look really good. I think their offense needs to get a little bit better if they're gonna compete in the SEC. But they've got a great team.
Look, I think that the problem is the problem is Auburn has no offense. They have absolutely no offense to back up a defense that is playing like a top 3 unit in the SEC. The things they've done to John Mateer, Marcel Reed, I mean, Baylor, I know, kind of sliced and diced them the first game, but ever since that first game, they've figured it out defensively. That's a really good unit that's been let down by their offense. And frankly, I think we're learning that Jackson Arnold's just not very good. Jackson Arnold is a mobile quarterback merchant, so basically he's a run merchant and he's a check down merchant. And when you've got guys like Singleton and Coleman on the outside, that's really unfortunate because I think this Auburn team could be a real problem if they had an offense. Yes, I'm scared to go to Jordan Hare, but their offensive deficiencies do give me a little bit of hope that we can at least score and just beat them that way. Now on Texas A&M, that is the team that I think is the best team in the SEC right now. I think if you look at the Notre Dame team, as good as Notre Dame is looking now and what they just did to Arkansas, I think that win just keeps looking better and better every week. They played really good against Auburn as well. Really, I don't think Auburn was ever threatening to win that game. They kept it close, but I think A&M had a good chokehold of the game for most of the time. Marcel Reed's playing great football. They probably have the best wide receiver duo in the SEC with Concepcion and Mario Craver. And I think this is a team that Mike Elko feels a little disrespected at A&M, and they're playing like it. A&M's a top 6 team right now, and I think they're playing like it. They might be the highest. Are they the highest ranked SEC team right now? Other than Ole Miss, number 4. Ole Miss is number 4.
Mm-hmm.
But their second highest ranked SEC team right now. If you would have told me before the season started that that number 4 and number 6, there was going to be a team in the SEC that was number 4 and a team in the SEC was number 6, and you told me it was Ole Miss and A&M at this point, I would have told you you're crazy.
Yeah. Cody?
I like Mike Elko. Yeah, he was great at Duke. Dude's fantastic. So I don't know if I'm going to say they're the best. I really don't know what I think about the SEC other than there is no bottom right now. I mean, except Arkansas. The SEC just is way better than I thought it was going to be across the board. But yeah, I mean, Texas A&M in a SEC championship, I think, is something we got to talk about. I think it's very possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll skip Indiana, Iowa, because who cares? Tennessee, Mississippi State. That was a great game. That heartbreaker for Mississippi State, man. I'll tell you what. I still thought that Mississippi State was fraudulent going into that Tennessee game, but I don't anymore. I think
both of y'all did.
I think they're probably a year away now from being probably a legitimate football team. I think they're kind of right on the cusp of being really good. And man, you could tell that Mississippi it hurt those Mississippi State players to lose that game because they outplayed Tennessee. It took 2 defensive touchdowns for Tennessee to win to even go into overtime, and then they got lucky in overtime. Which overtime takes a little bit of luck. I mean, we got lucky against Tennessee in overtime, whatever. But like, just a great game by the Bulldogs. Jeff Lebby, if you're a Mississippi State fan, you should be happy with the direction Jeff Lebby has the program in right now.
Well, you also need to be careful because someone might try to poach him at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. If Mississippi State pays him enough money, I think it is kind of like his second year technically. I don't know if anybody's going to try to poach him quite yet.
Not yet, but look, and I agree with you. I think that Tennessee very well should have lost this game. I think that Mississippi State outplayed them. Their run game was really good. I think that Mississippi State's an elite quarterback, like even a higher level quarterback away from being a real contender. In the SEC, I think Blake Shapen's fine, but in the SEC, you have to be better than fine. And I think that's the biggest holdup for them. Defense, I think, played well. I think their defense played well, all things considered, against Tennessee. When you go to overtime, you're going to let up more points, obviously. So I think that's a heartbreaker for Mississippi State. But I think that if you're a fan of Mississippi State right now, you are just living on cloud 9. So you've already won more games this year than I think you did last year.
You already surpassed your season total.
Yeah.
And we're 4 games in. So, Cody?
I think this will be the first game I've seen where both teams don't take like a negative either in the AP poll. I mean, obviously Mississippi State's not in the poll, but everybody's stock in Mississippi State went up after that game. But then also Tennessee played pretty dang good still and didn't move at all in the AP poll. So, I mean,
Tennessee hasn't moved in 4 weeks. They've been 15 for 4 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Even after they lost, they stayed.
Everybody still believes that Tennessee is, deserving to be in that 15 spot. And I think they played, relatively well. It was a much better game on both sides than I was expecting. I didn't see that coming at all. I thought it was going to be a blowout.
No, and if you guys, I know Zach listened last week, but if you heard me talk about that game, Cody, I said, don't be surprised if Mississippi State and Tennessee is a close game, because I think this Mississippi State team's playing really good football, and they're at home, and it's hard to play around those cowbells, and it puts a little bit of a pit in my stomach knowing that we have to go play at Starkville this year.
Yeah. Before let's briefly touch on Oregon Penn State, because we did not talk about that. We didn't watch the second.
I didn't watch the second.
So once again, Penn State loses another whiteout game. James Franklin is Mark Richt 2.0. He can't win the big games, and I don't think Penn State will ever be able to win big games under James Franklin. I just don't. I didn't watch much of it to really make an assessment on it, but Oregon and Dan Lanning, man, I love Dan Lanning, and I miss that dude. I miss that dude so much running our defense, but I'm happy for him out there. So big win for Oregon. They're probably the best team in the country, I would say, arguably the best team in the country.
Second best.
Also, like Texas A&M is better overtime than game.
You think Texas A&M is better than Oregon?
What?
You think Texas A&M is better than Oregon?
No, I think Miami's better than Oregon.
Oh. Go, Cody.
No, I was going to say that was the fifth overtime game. There was so much overtime last week.
Yeah.
I wish Georgia would have had the opportunity to play in overtime.
You know what? Since you mentioned them, let's go ahead and get into it. All right. Let's just get the
go ahead.
All right. There's so many things I could literally talk for probably 2 hours just on this game. Of course, I'm not going to do that. Let me just start with some positives. Okay. Positive takeaways from that game. Our offensive line seems to have an answer now. The right side of the offensive line seems to have been fixed. Now,
except for one point.
It's sad that it's 2 true freshmen, and there's like 3 or 4 guys that have been there for years, and they're not good, not as good as our true freshmen. That's kind of really sad, but the right side of the offensive line seems to be fixed. Another positive, we seem to be able to run the football very effectively, especially Chauncey Bowens. He's got to be RB1 from now on. Another positive, we didn't play our best game, and we still had a chance to win the game. 1 to 2 plays go differently. We're talking about we're happy we won the game, all this different stuff.
Best team in the SEC, one of the best teams in the nation.
Let me talk about the negatives. Okay, I think there's quite a few. I just want to mention just a couple. First one is I am sick and tired of waiting for Georgia to get a pass rush. I'm so sick of waiting for it. Where is it? We've been waiting for it for 3 years, and we have not seen it. At this point, the question is, are we not able to coach a pass rush? Like, can we not scheme a pass rush, or do we just not have pass rushers? And I think maybe it's a little bit of both. And I think everybody wants to dog on Mike Bobo and how he's a horrible offensive coordinator. We need to start turning the limelight on Glenn Schumann. I don't think he schemes this defense very well. I don't think we ever come into a game with a good game plan. And that's why we always play better in the second half, because we have to go in there and make all these adjustments and stuff.
Well, Kirby makes the adjustments.
Yeah. It's like literally the first drive of every game, the first quarter, people are just going right downfield on us. And I don't even blame our corners and safeties that much, because if a guy has 10 seconds to throw the ball and there's no pass rush, anybody's going to be able to complete passes down the field.
Especially a Jeremy Bernard and a Ryan Williams and a talented guy.
So I'm not even mad at the secondary. What I'm mad at is that we have no pass rush.
I'm mad at.
no, because okay, let me give you this statistic. Okay, Georgia right now, as a collective team, only has 2 sacks on the year, and has only forced 12 quarterback pressures. We are in the bottom 10 out of 135 teams in pass rush efficiency. Bottom 10. And Georgia let a guy like Damon Wilson walk away from this team, who on Missouri has 3.5 sacks, has by himself over 20 quarterback pressures. Why could we not keep him? We're not willing to pay him? Maybe, everybody talks about how Georgia spent all this money on these wide receivers, and that's great. We spent all this money on Noah Thomas, who has like 1 catch this year. Could we have spent that money on pass rushers? And I think that's what we need to do from now on. That's one of the most important positions in this game. And I'm so sick and tired of us not having a pass rush. Ty Simpson looked like prime Tom Brady because we couldn't get him on his back. We couldn't do anything to even pressure him at all. And that's just a couple of things that I've got a lot of other things that I have a problem with. Davin Bellamy has talked about this. He's literally ripping the whole Georgia defense on Twitter. And he's basically saying, look, if you're a pass rusher at Georgia, please come find me and I will teach you how to be a pass rusher. That's how bad it is right now.
And if I could say something, I think we saw this issue last year with Georgia where we weren't getting good pass rush. And then we went into a game against Texas and we had 8 sacks. We sacked the quarterback 8 times. We were all over Quinn Ewers, all over Arch Manning, havoc everywhere.
I think we schemed that game well.
Yes, I think it is scheme. I don't think it's the players, because I think Chris Cole is phenomenal. I think Chris Cole's a phenomenal pass rusher. We've got guys like freaking the 2 freshmen that we've got, the 2 true freshmen that are playing on the defensive line. They can rush the passer. They're really good pass rushers. I think it's all scheme, and I think it's Glenn Schumann. I think Glenn Schumann trusts his talent a little more. I think he's doing talent over scheme, and I don't think that that's a smart way to approach it. Now, I do want to bring up a couple of plays that I think were the difference in it. And I think it starts with the dropped touchdown by Talon Taylor. And, obviously, that's a perfect throw from Gunner. You can think about the Nate Frazier fumble early in that game, too, where defense clutched up there, only held him to 3. And so you think about, there's 10 points. And then the 4th down, the big time play that everyone's going to talk about for the rest of the season. If Georgia's season goes south, and if we don't make the playoff, we don't make the SEC championship game, they're going to talk about this play. And if you go back and watch it, I've watched it probably 100 times. This play, the scheme was there. I saw what Gunner and Kirby saw. They had a wide open right side of the field. If the right tackle makes that block, he walks in for a touchdown. Yeah. Cash Jones walks into the end zone with a touchdown.
Yeah.
But he missed the block.
Yeah.
He missed the block, and it looked bad. But then there's also, in the same exact play, the play before, if you're Kirby, you have to let them review that. You have to give the officials, or throw out the red flag, give them a chance to review it. And then if you're an inch short, you bring in Josh McCray and you get an inch. Yeah. Or you kick the field goal and tie the game.
I don't have much of an issue. And Cody, sorry if you're not getting to talk on this. You're just letting us get.
I'm observing.
Yeah. But I don't have a problem with the 4th down call going for it. I have no issue with it.
Me neither.
The whole like, Kirby should have let them review it. See, if they really wanted to review it, they would have stopped the play, because there's been plenty of examples where people tried to hurry up and the booth still signaled down to stop it. So relying on the refs, I'm even okay with that. Not relying on the refs. There's 2 philosophies in that scenario. Try to catch them off guard by running the hurry up and doing the play, or there's, okay, let's Let's take a second to get the right personnel on the field, but that's also going to give them a chance to get the right personnel on the field. Again, I agree with you. I saw what they saw. It's going to be a walk-in touchdown if it was executed properly. But I think at this point, our coaching staff should know that Juan Gaston, his strength is his size and strength, not his mobility. So I think us running hurry up is the reason why Gaston missed the block, because he didn't have time. He didn't have time to get set up and block the best D lineman on Alabama's team.
Yep.
So in that scenario, I think just get your best guys out there. Let's try to get half a yard with Josh McCray. That's the best decision to make. And of course, I'm not going to pretend to know to think that I know better than Kirby Smart, that I know football better than him, whatever. But
my only issue,
even like, I mean, like he I don't mean to cut you off, but we ran that play 3 times against Tennessee and it worked. So the play call itself was not an issue. We even ran it earlier in the game and it worked.
It was execution.
It was execution, and I don't know. And another thing I want to mention, and you can go back to that in a second. Another thing I want to mention is before the Alabama game, actually including the Alabama game, the last 6 Power 4 teams we've played, we have trailed at halftime. We have got to change that. We are getting out-coached and outplayed from the get-go. See, even if we would have went into overtime, I still think we would have lost, because when it comes to winning in overtime, it takes a little bit of luck. And our luck, we've had a lot of luck lately in overtime. Eventually that was going to run out. You cannot sustain a team constantly playing from behind. I don't care how good of a coach you are. I don't care. We have to start getting out in front. We have to stop playing from behind constantly, because we will lose 2 or 3 more games this season if we continue to play that way. We will. Getting behind a lot early, honestly, before the Alabama game, I was so confident and I expected us to win. I was so confident in Kirby's ability to coach us into a win. I'm honestly not that confident anymore. I just don't know. I don't think this team is elite. I don't think there really is an elite team in college football in general. But I think to your point, Mitchell, when Glenn Schumann's trying to rely too much on talent, I don't think anybody can do that anymore. I don't think anybody can just trust their talent. You have to actually scheme, because the talent is so evenly spread across college football now. You can't just rely on talent anymore. You have to actually coach and scheme, and that's the problem. And I just don't think we're seeing that. Mike Bobo, yeah, he's not perfect. I think he's a little too conservative at times, like a halfback swing pass on 3rd and 9 at the end of the game. What are we doing there? He's a little too conservative at times, but I think the eyeballs and the criticism need to go on Schumann and not on Bobo. He's the first person that needs to be held accountable.
We probably need to wrap this up just because we're 42 minutes in, but I think that the one thing that is glaring to me is if you look at the history of Georgia versus Alabama in the Kirby Smart era, Kirby almost tries too hard. He tries to do something way outside of what is normal for him every time we play Alabama.
Yes.
It's starting to think that Kirby didn't have a Saban problem. Kirby has an Alabama problem.
Yeah.
Kirby has a real Alabama problem. If you look at his record, he has a winning record against every other SEC school except for LSU. We're 1-2 against LSU, which is fine. I mean, that we played them back-to-back years. They were really good, and we beat them in the SEC championship game in 2022. We're 1-7 in the Kirby era against Alabama.
Yeah.
1-7. That is accounted for over 50% of Kirby's losses as head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
He has an Alabama problem. 2018, the fake punt with Justin Fields.
Yep.
He tried to go in his bag and do that. He tried to pull out some trick plays in 2021 when we lost to Alabama in the playoff or in the SEC championship game. In 2023, in the SEC championship game, we went for a 4th and 2 when we could have kicked a field goal against Alabama in the SEC championship game. It's every time we play Alabama, he goes.
He tries to get cute, and it never works.
And I think last year, honestly, and I know we were down 30-7 at half. I think it was the best he's ever coached against Alabama. It's the best he's ever coached, and probably the closest, other than the game that we won, obviously in the national championship, it's the closest he's ever gotten to beating Alabama. And this year, if he doesn't drop that touchdown pass, and he kicks a field goal or huddles, we could be talking about a 35-24 win for Georgia, and them shutting Alabama out in the second half, which they did.
Yeah,
Alabama didn't score in the second half. Our defense played great in the second half. Offense didn't make enough plays. It wasn't on Gunner. I don't think Gunner did anything to lose us that game.
right.
I think he's got to be more reliant on his legs. I think he's got to use his legs more. I think the issue the first 2 weeks and the first 3 weeks is he was using his legs too much, and now he's not using it enough. He's got to find a happy medium. We've got to incorporate the read option back in because we're playing a good defense this week. We're playing a good Kentucky defense this week that I think could speed up the game a little bit for Gunner. We're at home, thankfully. It's a noon kick, not a good Kentucky team. I don't even know if that's not one of the games we're picking, right? So, yeah, I think we wrap it up there, but like it's a win or it's a loss that hurts, obviously. But in the 12-team playoff era, no losses sting as hard anymore.
Right.
Because if we win out, we go 10-2, I think we're in the playoff.
Yeah. Cody, very briefly, is there anything you want to comment on this game?
I mean, there's a lot of, Mike Bobo was trending on X during and right after the game. So everybody's still blaming, but guys, you've got Kirby's 1-7 and everything has changed. The coach on the other team has changed. All the staffs have changed. Kirby's had 3 different coordinators on defense and offense. The only thing that's consistent is Kirby. So I agree. I think it's an Alabama problem. Why? I have no idea. But it's even the greatest coaches have that, one thing that they can't seem to get that monkey off their back. And obviously that's Kirby's.
Yeah. Nick Saban was 0-3 against Wisconsin. So there's that. So, all right, let's get into picks this week.
Random fact. Nick Saban was 0.
Every team had every coach.
Did he lose twice at Michigan State to Wisconsin or something like that, and then lost once at Alabama? Okay,
something like that. Yeah.
Gus Malzahn was Nick Saban's problem.
Yeah. Let's get into it. First game. Well, let's give a score update. Me and Cody both tied for the win last week with 15 points each. Mitchell's starting to fall behind a little bit. It's 62. I'm in the lead with 62. Cody's got 61, and Mitchell has 53. So he's falling behind a little bit, but we'll see what happens this week. First game of the week is
I was screwed out of an outright win.
Wake Forest. Poor old Wake Forest.
We didn't even talk about that game.
Oh, dude. I don't want to.
Okay, that's
I don't
fine.
want to. I just am glad that, like, for the first time ever, I know what it's like to have luck. And I was like, oh, this is nice. And also, I feel really bad for you guys. Poor Wake Forest, but I'll take a win. I'm never going to not take a win.
I was so heated.
All right, Iowa State at Cincinnati. Cincinnati has been impressive this year. They've played better than I thought they would. Iowa State's also been impressive this season. I guess I'll just go first. I'm going to pick the Bearcats to win this game close.
Wow.
I was even shocked by it, but as I'm looking through it, as I'm going through my process of picking games, I don't know. There's kind of a gut feel. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, but I think Cincinnati pulls it out at home. Mitchell.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati's played well, but they've also played Bowling Green and Northwestern State, and then they played a good game against Kansas last week, a close game against Kansas. My pick is Iowa State close. I think Cincinnati being at home keeps this game close, but I think Rocco Becht gets it done. Brendan Sorsby makes a mistake. Give me Iowa State. Was my camera still on that whole time?
No.
Ah, dang. Okay. All right.
I'm going to pick Iowa State as well. I've got several games here that I wanted to flip and that I thought was, potential upset. But, this one, I think Iowa State just has a better resume. And nothing that Cincinnati gives me that confidence to pick them. So I want Iowa State close.
Yeah. For some reason, Cincinnati is favored in this game. And I did take that into
They're at home.
So.
Mhm.
All right, this next one, Texas at Florida. Now, normally I wouldn't cover a 1-3 team, but this game is so interesting because both offenses. We talked about how Georgia has bottom 10 in college football and pass rush. Texas's offense is like in the 100s in total offense this season, which is just absolutely shocking. And Florida has a great defense, so it's going to be a good game. And Florida has a chance to win, I think. But Mitchell, what's your take on this game?
This game should have been flexed to 2:30 a.m. on True TV because it's going to be ugly. The quarterback battle is going to be a mid-off between Lagway and Arch. I do think that Texas wins this game close. I think that Arch is not as prone to the mistake as DJ Lagway is. And I think Texas's defense has a slight edge over Florida's. I don't think this game's going to be anything to write home about. It's going to be a game where you're kind of it's one of the 4 box games is that you think you should care about, and then you want to watch all the other ones because I think this game legitimately could be a 13-10 final score.
Cody?
I wanted to pick Texas, but I got to thinking
Whoa.
DJ's going to try his best and hardest to play the best game he's ever played. And there's a coach that is very much on a hot seat right now, and Texas is not that coach.
Are you going to do it?
I'm going to pick Florida close.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
And I actually think
You'll never hear those words ever.
they're going to fight. They're actually going to fight because this is it. I mean, I think this is the last chance to prove that you're in the right direction, which we all believe you're not, but this is your last shot.
Wow. That's a big one. I'll be honest with you. Did you guys know that neither one of these teams have beaten a Power 4 opponent yet?
Yeah.
We're 5 weeks into the season, and neither one of them have beaten a Power 4 team, which is crazy. The weather for this game is supposed to be really bad. There's going to be thunderstorms, hard rain, so I don't think there's going to be a lot of throwing the ball.
Weather delay, yay.
Probably a weather delay. There's probably not going to be a lot of throwing the football around, so that actually makes less
Advantage
room for
Florida.
mistakes. Advantage Florida. But I still think Texas wins the game very, very, very close. I think, down to I think it's going to come down to maybe who has the ball last or maybe who can make a big stop. It's not going to be a high scoring game, but just in terms of it's going to be a field position game. It's going to be kind of like a Georgia versus Kentucky type game where it's just a struggle the whole way through.
When we play at Kroger Field, yes.
Yeah. But Texas wins the game close. But I think weather is going to play a huge part in this game.
Yeah.
Boise State at Notre Dame. Cody, why don't you kick this one off?
Notre Dame. I'll give Boise State some credit. I think they'll play hard. I don't think it's going to be I think it'll look like a game for a couple of quarters, but I think the spread's like minus 20 now.
20.5. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be Notre Dame comfortable. I think Boise State could pull off enough to where it's not, can cover that, but they're not winning. Notre Dame's just on a roll.
Yeah, I got Notre Dame big. Last year, we saw what happened when Notre Dame had their backs against the wall after losing to NIU. They had to be perfect the rest of the way. I think Notre Dame kind of has to be perfect the rest of the way. And Boise State has looked very lackluster. Maddox Madsen is not him like we thought he was. I think Ashton Genty was kind of the driving force of that team last year. I think Notre Dame wins this game big. It's never close.
Give me Notre Dame comfy. I think that Boise State covers, but Notre Dame wins. Comfortable.
All right, Virginia at Louisville. I'd never thought Virginia would be an interesting watch. Virginia, I think, is ranked. Are they
ranked team, baby? Ranked.
UVA, and I don't know why Louisville's not ranked. They're undefeated, but they haven't really played a great schedule. That's probably why.
Not at all.
But I think this is going to be a great game. Maybe one of the best games of the day, to be honest with you. Louisville kind of struggled. They had to come from behind to beat Pitt last week. But I've got Louisville winning this game close. Miller Moss has had his struggles so far this season, and Chandler Morris has been really good. But I think the biggest reason why I'm picking Louisville is because I think UVA is going to suffer from a big win high after they're going to have a little bit of a hangover in this game. because well coached teams are able to not have hangovers after big wins. I don't think UVA is super well coached. So give me Jeff Brom and the Louisville Cardinals to get a close win at home. Mitchell?
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you there. I think that it's a close Louisville win. I think Miller Moss will play a good game. Man, I'm really impressed with Virginia. That was a game we didn't talk about. Virginia upsetting Florida State, a team that looked untouchable really for most of the season so far. They came out there and they beat them, and it was a great moment. One of the best field stormings I've ever seen.
Yes.
With how quickly they did that.
A
But I
man
do
died.
yeah, yeah. I do think that they come down to earth a little bit. Louisville's a good physical football team. Now the only thing I'm worrying about is it a potential look ahead situation for Louisville as they have to go to Miami next week. That could be a potential look ahead for Louisville. But if Louisville's 5-0 going into that game, then it's a game for Miami to start worrying about. I think Louisville wins. Close.
Cody?
I'm going to choose the team I'm rooting for. I'm actually going to go Virginia close. And the reason is I don't think the high of winning sets in until another game or two. I've seen these teams that have struggled like this before and it actually go beyond just 1 week. I think it's going to continue. I think Virginia will have. I think they'll end up being like a 7-5 this season. But right now they're 4-1, 1-0 in the ACC. So they've got every right to be there and every right to be ranked higher than Louisville.
Yep.
All right. Washington at Maryland. Washington, we talked about them already. Maryland, as always, starting off the season 5-0 like they always do. I haven't heard anything about Maryland at all this season. Mitchell, give me who you got winning this game.
Yeah, this game is interesting. The true freshman for Maryland, Malik Washington, has been really good. Maryland has looked. I mean, again, yeah, like we said, they're always 4-0, 5-0 every single year. Them and Rutgers always start undefeated through like 4 or 5 games. This is a good Maryland team, but I think this is a Washington defense that's going to confuse a young quarterback like Malik Washington. He hasn't had to play a defense this stellar. So I think Washington wins this game, but Washington wins this game close. This is a game that Washington goes on the road and wins. Malik Washington makes some plays. I think everyone's going to be really high on him. I think it's going to be one of those games where he's drawing enough attention to where he will not be at Maryland next year. But I think Damon Williams makes enough plays. The defense forces a turnover. Washington wins close.
Cody?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever watched Maryland play football, to be honest with you. It's just never a team that I enjoy watching. I'm going to pick the team that calls themselves the Dogs too, and close. I've watched them a little bit more. I think, I like them. I'm just choosing because I have no idea. It's a toss-up. It's a coin flip, and Washington has nice purple. So I'm gonna choose the team I'm rooting for.
Yeah, I'm not going to belabor this. I've got Washington close. Again, their head coach, Maryland's head coach, literally every season, the last Mike Locksley, they always start off 4-0, 5-0, and they always end up 6-6 and 7-5. They're just never able to finish the season well, so I think that continues. Michigan State at Nebraska. Nebraska can't get that monkey off their back of winning against a ranked team, but Michigan's not ranked. And Michigan State's not ranked. But I still think they are a good team. Cody, who do you got winning Michigan State, Nebraska?
It's at Nebraska. I got Nebraska comfortable. I think they'll struggle in the beginning, but I think it'll be a pretty easy win for them.
Yeah, I actually agree with you 100%, like all the way. Nebraska comfortable. Matt Rule doesn't lose to unranked teams very often. We talked about the rule of 3 last week. Mitchell mentioned the rule of 3. But the rule of 3 is he doesn't lose to unranked teams, and I think he's going to win this game comfortable. I think they're pretty upset. I think they're pretty mad that they couldn't pull out that win last week.
2 weeks ago.
It was against Michigan, was it not?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
And Bryce Underwood only completed 11 passes in that game, and they lost pretty considerably. So I think coming off a bye week, I think they handle Michigan State. I get Nebraska comfortable.
I've got Nebraska close. I think that Aiden Childs is going to be. That's a good, solid Michigan State team. That Mr. Smith, what's his first name?
Jonathan Smith.
Jonathan Smith has got going in the right direction. But yeah, I think Dylan Raiola has been a top 5 quarterback statistically this year in college football by efficiency standards, QBR standards. I think he's been really good. They've got a good run game. They've got good wide receivers. But I think that Michigan State's defense keeps them in this game. Nebraska wins, pulls it out close.
All right, next game, the battle for East Texas, Texas Tech and Houston. You got number 11 Texas Tech. You've got an undefeated Houston team. This will be an interesting battle. I've got Texas Tech winning this game comfortably. I like gosh, why can I not think of the quarterback's name for Houston? He was at Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, Connor Wegman.
I like Connor Wegman. I like Willie Fritz, but I think right now Texas Tech has a lot of momentum. I was very impressed with their game against Utah. I mean, I think this team is legit. I think they're legitimate Big 12 contenders this season. So Baron Morton. Give me Texas Tech comfortable on the road. Mitchell?
Yeah, Texas Tech comfortable. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, same. I mean, Willie Fritz usually has his guys ready for big games like this, but I think Texas Tech's going to be too much for him.
Now, listen. Usually, when everybody picks Texas Tech, that's usually when they lose. So they'll probably lose this week.
Yep.
Next one, Miami at FSU. This is a huge game.
It was supposed to be game of the week.
Battle for the best team in Florida. Mitchell, since you're so high on Miami, why don't you start?
I've got Miami close. I think Carson Beck I think Miami's the better team. I've got one of the best defensive players in football. I think they've got probably the second best quarterback in college football right now, maybe the best quarterback in college football, and Carson Beck, who has weapons. But Florida State's at home. Florida State's mad. Florida State's thought that they were untouchable, and then they got beat by Virginia on a Friday night, and everyone clowned them for it. I think they're going to keep this game close. I just think Miami's defense and their defensive line and their offensive line, the trenches, is going to be the difference in this game. Fletcher's going to get a couple big runs off for Miami. Miami wins this game close. Carson Beck does not throw an interception. Castellanos does. That's the difference in the game.
Cody?
Miami hasn't lost a lot. If you look last year, I was looking like what causes Miami to lose, and they have an even more complete team now than they do last year. But running quarterbacks seems to be their struggle, and Castellanos is that man when it comes to being in such a dual threat. I still will have Miami close just because they're so much more complete now than they were last year. I do think that they'll be able to figure it out, but I would not be surprised. And as a Tech fan, I'm rooting for Florida State, but I think Miami's going to win this one in a close game.
Yeah, I think the biggest ding or the biggest, I guess, negative for Miami going into this game is the fact that Florida State's coming off a loss. I would be a lot more confident in Miami winning this game if they both were undefeated, to be honest with you. Florida State coming off that loss, they're going to be upset. They practiced hard this week. Tommy Castellanos is probably back to talking his mess. And I wasn't thrilled with Carson Beck's comments after the Alabama loss. I wasn't thrilled with how he took a jab at Georgia. But, it is what it is. I'm still going to pick Miami close. I think that they make a couple plays there. I don't know. I feel like Miami, like Cody said, has a complete team. I think Florida State is going to give them a run for them. I think this will probably be a back and forth game the whole way.
Yeah, well, easily.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a shootout type game. But Carson Beck, regardless of my opinion on him, he was always great late in games, and I think maybe he leads a late game drive and they win. But this is also the very typical Mario Cristobal fumble. Mario Cristobal typically loses games like this, so we'll see.
And weather is going to be awful.
Yeah. So, and that's another factor that I didn't even take into consideration was the weather. But I think I'm still going to stick with Miami. Mississippi State at Texas A&M. Again, Mississippi State coming off a heartbreaker. Texas A&M is riding the hot hand right now. So, Cody, give me your opinion on this game.
I'm not a betting guy, but take the free money. It's minus 16.5. Take the free money. I have Texas A&M winning, but I think Mississippi State's going to cover that. Give me Texas A&M close. I think Mississippi State's going to come out hard. I really do. And I don't think it's going to be easy for them. So take your free money, 16.5.
No, listen, I gave Mississippi State their flowers earlier, but I think Texas A&M wins this game comfortable, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a blowout. And here's why: I think when you have a team like Mississippi State where the expectations were so low, and then people start lauding on you and how good you actually are, and then you lose a heartbreaker like that, I think sometimes it can really deflate you, and you come out the next week kind of flat.
Especially
I
on
think
the
we
road.
I think we see that a little bit. I don't think it's going to necessarily be a blowout, but I wouldn't be surprised. Give me Texas A&M comfortable.
I'm saying Texas A&M comfortable. I think it's Mississippi State struggled with the deep ball and with the wide receivers of Tennessee last week, and now they're playing the best wide receiver duo in college football right now. So, I think it's Texas A&M comfortable.
All right, and then the game of the week, which in what universe are we living in that Vanderbilt isn't the game of the week? Vanderbilt at Alabama. College Game Day is going to this game, which again, I'm not sure College Game Day has ever been to a Vanderbilt game, which is crazy.
Good for them.
But last year, coming off a big win against Georgia, Alabama then lost on the road at Vandy. This year, coming off a big win against Georgia, they have to play Vandy again. I am going to take Alabama comfortable. I don't think they make that same mistake again. Kalen DeBoer, say what you will about him, he loses against teams he shouldn't lose against, but then against teams that are highly ranked and highly touted, he always has his teams ready to go. And so give me Alabama comfortable. They're not going to be surprised this year by this Vandy team. I love this Vandy team. Love Diego Pavia. Love Stowers, the tight end. I've been talking about him a lot this season, but I think Bama's going to be ready, and it's at home. Give me Bama comfortable. Mitchell.
Yeah, I think Kalen DeBoer has not lost at home as the head coach for Alabama. I don't think that starts now, especially when you're caught off guard by a team for 1 year. It's not going to happen again. Alabama's going to be ready for this game. And I also think Pavia's ran his mouth a little too much, which we said that also about Thomas Castellanos, and he came out and beat him. But Pavia has been running his mouth, but he has the backup for it. If Vandy can come out and win this game, Vandy's probably going to be in the top 10 if they win this game. And if you told me there was a world where the top 15 includes Georgia Tech and Vandy, I would say you're crazy. But I think Bama wins this game. They take care of business. This is not the game they need to worry about. They have a couple other games that they need to worry about coming up, but they're going to be ready for this game because they don't want it to happen 2 years in a row.
What was the margin of victory?
Comfortable. Or no, big. I have big. Sorry, I have big. Okay. Wow. Ooh.
All right, Cody.
So as much as Alabama will be prepped for this, Vanderbilt will also be prepped for this. Now, I'm not picking Vanderbilt. In fact, I'm picking Alabama comfortable. However, if Vanderbilt can figure out a way to pull this off, they will be top 10. And they will actually be the top of the SEC, if I'm not mistaken.
And Pavia should be in Heisman contention. If they win this game, Pavia needs to be.
Pavia will, yeah.
Yes.
And I hate Diego Pavia because he destroyed my Yellow Jackets in a bowl game. I hate him. However, that is a wild world we live in. And I think Vandy will be prepared for that.
That's how you know the Rapture's about to happen.
I think so too. Yeah. But no, give me Bama comfortable. That's not happening. But if it did, that's a wild world, and I'm here for it.
I know, dude. What a crazy world we live in that Vandy.
I'm rooting for Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, Noah.
Sorry, Alex Jimenez. Get out of here with your Roll Tide and
come on,
Ty is prime Tom Brady. Get out of here with that. Go Vandy. Super Dogs. I'm going to let y'all go first because I'm kind of in between two, and I just want to see what y'all pick before I make my decision. So, Mitchell, why don't you do yours first?
I'm going to a Friday night game. My Super Dog is West Virginia 19.5 covers against BYU. They cover the 19.5 against BYU. I don't think West Virginia is a bad team by any stretch of the imagination. It's a Friday night game. BYU's a new top 25 team. Getting 20 points I feel like that's a lot against another Power 4 Big 12 opponent. It's crazy that BYU is a Big 12 team still. It's just kind of just throws me off. But yeah, I think this is an easy cover. And I think it could be another win. I think it could be a win because Virginia beat or beat Florida State last week on a Friday. I think we're about to have some more Friday Night Madness.
Cody.
There was not a lot to choose from. Every spread was around like a touchdown, and the only ones that were above a touchdown I thought were just pretty fair by Vegas, and I didn't think they were going to be able to cover. So really, the one that stuck with me just was Kentucky covering Georgia at -20 and a half.
You of course. I knew you were going there.
I don't think it'll happen, but there's a huge chance it will because of just Georgia and Kentucky's history. Georgia wins, but Kentucky seems to fight them hard for whatever reason. So I think -20 and a half is enough to stick with, but it'll be 3 points. It won't be 5.
Honestly, I think that's a really good pick. That's about as free money as it gets because I don't know if if we can cover 20 and a half against Kentucky. I think we'll win the game, but 20 and a half, I mean, we have to have I don't want to get back on the Georgia tangent, whatever, but we have to have a change in philosophy if we're going to win a game by 21 against an SEC opponent. And I don't know if that's going to happen this week. So I've been between two. Part of me wanted to kind of be aggressive and maybe try to go for like an outright upset. But I think I'm going to stick a little bit more conservative. I'm going to go North Carolina to cover against Clemson, 14 and a half.
Yep.
Okay.
I saw that one and I was like, you know what? I got to take, even though the thing that makes me nervous about that is that North Carolina's offense is not very good, but neither is Clemson's. So this is just kind of a toilet bowl game. But I think what kind of drove me over the edge is the fact that there are some rumors with Dabo Swinney right now. And I think maybe that could be a little distracting. If Clemson loses this game, you want to talk about absolute chaos in Clemson if they lose this game. But I don't think Clemson will lose the game. I just think they're not going to win by 14 and a half. So, but knowing me, the last time I picked against Clemson for them to have the spread covered, they were up by 42 in the first quarter last year against App State when I picked App State to cover the spread.
Yep.
Yeah. So it'll probably happen again, but I'd have not.
They're listening to this podcast right now, and Dabo's going to put that quote on the wall.
Yeah. But I've got the Tar Heels and that very poorly coached UNC team to cover. So
Jordan Hudson led North Carolina Tar Heels.
For real.
Oh, they're
She's
the
the real head coach.
The Blue Chews, yes. Yes.
Carolina Blue Chews.
I saw that on Twitter too. I'm like, I'm not the only one that thought of this.
That's like the funniest thing you've ever said on the show, Cody.
North Carolina the fighting Bill Belichick Blue Chews.
That's freaking awesome.
Dude, that's funny.
Awesome. That's a perfect way to end the
today.
show.
Yes, that's the show today, boys. Appreciate y'all watching.
Yes.
Enjoy this week of college football. I just need Georgia to win so I can forget this past week.
Yeah,
I've been seething in it all week. But yeah.
Let's get a statement. Let's get a statement win.
Who does Tech play this week, Cody? Are they off?
Bye week.
Nice.
They're hosting Virginia Tech next week.
Can't lose.
Cannot lose.
Tech's undefeated since Brent Pry was fired. Virginia Tech's undefeated.
That's true.
Brent Pry was fired.
I'm scared. I'm scared.
All right, send us off, Mitchell.
All right, we will see y'all next week. Same time, same place. See ya.
Peace. See you, Cody.